Alright, finally got a pretty nice warm, dry, sunny day all day today, so I'm finally going to throw the new front end in the Eclipse here so this thing will stop riding like a boat on water. I showed all this in a bunch more detail in a parts reveal video, but we got new control arms here, new boots, tie rods, inner and outer, sway bar links, ball joints and such, and then obviously the new struts. I also got sway bar links and shocks for the rear as well, so I'll be throwing those in too, but I'm just kind of focusing in on the whole front end's obviously the majority of the work here. So I get started and throw this crap in. Oh, and one thing I noticed, and I'm really glad I looked freaking cat hair and noticed, is that all of these are dry. So they got these grease fittings here, but every single one of them is bone dry. So I got a little attachment and grease gun. I got to grease all these up before I put them on. So if you happen to be doing this, make sure all your joints are greased first. If you put them on dry like that, they're going to fail in a matter of months probably. And I'm assuming you can hear that, but of course my neighbors decided they are doing construction work while I'm trying to put the front end in the Eclipse, so I apologize in advance for the noise. They're back there with a bobcat and something that's even louder. I don't know if it's a trenching machine or something. Also, apparently on these and only these, I have to install the fittings myself. Go figure. And the ones that are already installed are loose, so yeah, I gotta go double check everything. And I think I have another issue. I don't think this fits. I can't get it over it. It should snap over, so great. So before I even started today, I'm already screwed. Apparently I gotta go back into town, which I'm out in the country, so pretty decent drive, and then try to find something that's gonna work here. And scratch that, I got it to fit. This is adjustable. I can't really show you this freaking one-handed, but this nozzle here spins off of this shaft, and then it loosens the fitting in the tip and allows it to snap over. However, I've done it numerous times now. I can't get it to come back off without completely disassembling this, and the spring and the ball bearing in there falls out. So I'm gonna have to literally assemble and disassemble this every single time for every one of these fittings. So I guess that's why you don't buy cheap stuff from Harbor Freight, huh? I also noticed I'm not too particularly fond of these boots, so you can see these, one sits up, one sits down, so no matter how it goes on the car, up and down this way, up and down that way, or even if it's sideways, these boots, the gap in the boots there, it's going to collect all kinds of crap from the road, including water. So yeah, I'm going to grease the crap out of these. Alright, so start with the wheel off, and right there you can see my busted sway bar link that we're getting fixed here. There's your tie rod, inner, outer. So the sway bar will go here. That thing was flopping around on me because it wasn't attached, so I took it out. It looks like I'm gonna need a new axle soon, or repack that one. You can see my boot here, where that ball joint or pivot joint is shredded. And where are we at here? Down here on the control arm. I'm trying to get it open for you. Anyways, it's tore and open. And if I recall correctly, I'm replacing these because I thought the one on the other side was like starting to rust through. But regardless, a lot of times it's easier, depending on price, just to go ahead and replace the whole control arm. Because sometimes getting these bushings out of here can be a real pain if you're, wanting to refresh it and put in new bushings and all that. Of course, it's easier with the, if you got a little machine shop or something, which I do not have, so I'm just doing the whole control arm. Not entirely sure, but if I was just doing the strut, I might just be able to unbolt the spindle here and let it all fold out, and that might work. I don't know, but since we're replacing control arm and everything, I just got to take everything off. So got to get the caliper off here, the rotor, undo the axle nut here, so all that'll come off for me. Well, there's my caliper, rotor. Got it up on a block here so I don't kink the hose. So I just need to take my axle nut off now. and then detach the spindle from the control arm down here and from the strut up here, and then I should be able to just slide this whole spindle up off the axle there. Oh, and the tie rod here too. Alright, that was fun. So all my cotter pins broke off getting them out. No surprise there. These were tight as hell, man. My impact wouldn't even take them out, and that's once I got this big freaking wrench on here and I couldn't get it against stuff. It was like slipping, so this top one I actually had to get by standing on this while pulling up with this monster that's longer than my arm. It's a 1/2 inch drive plus a freaking cheater bar back there. I had to do the same for the bottom because the impact didn't have enough power. The bottom I was able to lock up on top of this other bolt. Once I got it started, it was sticking out to lock that wrench in place, but the impact still wouldn't take it out, and that's a 1,100 pound earthquake. Jeez. Once I got them going, I was able to use the impact to get them the rest of the way, but those were super freaking tight. So anyways, I got everything detached, got my brake line, brake hose detached here, speed sensor. All these littler bolts like this are snapping off on me. Broke one off right there, trying to get that off there, and for the speed sensor down in here, broke right off. I don't think that thing's going anywhere though. It's seized in there. And then yeah, I had to bend this heat shield out of the way. So anyways, I should be, I already gave some taps and some PB blaster down here. My control arm's free, so I should be able to, same thing with the axle, a few light taps here. Got the axle loose, so the spindle should be ready to come out now. They were just cutting and grinding down trees behind me there. They just stopped, and now my rooster won't shut up. Told you. Hopefully I didn't pull my axle out too far. I'll check it before it all goes back together, make sure nothing came undone in there, but it feels right. It's still springy, so whew, there's the spindle. So now I can get to work on unbolting the control arm, replacing it, and my tie rod's here. So, in case you were wondering and missed the previous videos, the reason I'm doing a whole new front end, again, the control arm on the other side, I believe, is rusting through, if I remember correctly. If not, I want to refresh everything anyways, that way this thing handles like new again. But my steering wheel shakes like crazy, and I can feel like clunks and crap, and so here's part of the reason why, that the ball joint on the inner tie rod up here, it's got play to it, and so does the other side. You should be able to hear it. So basically it's going in and out about 1 millimeter or 2, so that joint's wore out. And then obviously my sway bar link's been broken off, and as I believe I said earlier in this video, the shocks and struts on this thing are just completely blown out. It rides like it's on water because it's pretty much just on the spring there. The struts are completely shot. It just the slightest bumps, the whole car just bounces up and down like a boat on water. So to me, I'd feel silly doing new shocks and struts because I'm doing the rear too, and, you know, new tie rods there, and then not freshen up the rest of it to make it, you know, handle as new as possible, which, like I said, most of the time easier. And for me at least, I don't want to tackle trying to pop any of these bushings and such out to replace them on a control arm. Where I got the control arms, they were only like, I can't, 30, 40, 50 bucks a piece with everything ready to go. You just throw the new one in, so that's why I chose that route. Like I said, I should probably address that axle there while I'm in here. That would be the smart thing to do, but I just want to get this thing buttoned back up and get it back on the road, and I'll take care of that at some other time. And the second time around, these bolts won't be so freaking tight, because not only did I just take them off, but I'm going to put some anti-seize on them too. Well, there's the control arm. So, now onto the tie rod. I just squeeze this here and slide this boot down so I can get up in there and get a wrench on this. end of it up in there, hopefully. It looks like there's a hole for me there. I don't think I gotta remove the K-member or anything like that, or whatever the heck you would call that subframe. Screw her off and get the new one on. We'll have to size them up to get them as close as possible. You just spin the head of it up and down this shaft here. You want to basically, assuming your car drives straight and all that, match the same length. And if you do it just right, I did it before on a Civic, and I didn't need an alignment afterwards. I mean, it's never a bad idea, I guess, to go in for an alignment. But anyways, we're gonna match the length and all that and get it to where it's exact, and it should still drive straight down the road after that. And if you can hear me over the tractor behind me, this guy's literally been at it all day, cutting down trees and literally grinding them in the mulch right behind me. So anyways, scratch that on the inner tie rod there. I would have to remove the entire subframe. There's no way to get up in there. So you need this. So I had to run in town and grab this. It's a inner tie rod removal tool. So this long freaking tube goes over it, as you can imagine there. And then you got to use the right crow's foot with the appropriate size in the end of it there. So you can, oh, my parts are in the car now. Because I put everything up. Oh my God, come on. So it'll latch onto that after you slide it over, which means I gotta take, oh damn it. Oh, this sucks. That means I gotta take the outer tie rod off, which I hadn't planned on doing because the tube won't fit over with the outer on there. So now I gotta put the freaking control arm, spindle crap, rudimentarily kind of back up on there to bolt the outer back up so that I can twist that off. Otherwise it's just gonna spin on me. So great, I gotta like put it back together just to take it back apart. There she is, both inner and outer. So now I get to size up the new one. I'm gonna put this back on and get it back to where it was. Make the new one the same size and get her on there. But I suppose before I do that, I should put more stuff in my own way. I should take the strut out now. So she's ready to come out. I just got unbolted up top. Well, there she is. Installation is basically reversive removal. You just got to pay attention to which side there is, a left and a right. Which side this bracket's on. You can see it matches that one there. Whereas the other side will be on that side. So everything's ready to go back in now. Well, I got her there, and then clearly there's the new strut. And I forgot the boot because I'm a genius and I'm trying to rush before it gets completely dark. So anyways, while we're on that subject, there's like literally no way to get that factory metal clamp back on here. So, you know, when they build these in the factory, they put the rack and pinion up as an entire assembled unit with the boot and all that, and you get that metal band, which I had to like pry off the back to get the old one out. But without removing the subframe will go on after that in the factory while they're assembling the car. So without removing the subframe, which also requires removing the exhaust and all those nasty exhaust manifold bolts that are rusted and going to break and shear off for sure, about the only thing you can do is get a zip tie up in there. So unless you want to tear the whole front of the car apart and drop everything, subframe and all that, that's your only option there, which is what I'm going to do. And then here I can just reuse that clamp, that one right there, if it wasn't for the fact that that nut there is seized. So I'll probably just replace it with a new one, which should do anyways, but I don't know if I got any on me. I might have to run back to the store. But anyways, unless you want to disassemble the whole front end of the car, zip tie on the back and then you can clamp the front. You know, I'm probably just going to zip tie the front too. That saved me a lot of headaches. Since I have no choice but to zip tie the back unless I want to take the entire car apart, I'm just going to zip tie the front as well. But I will be using some big, like industrial size zip ties on that. And you know, I would almost feel bad about that, except for the fact my brand new assembled strut, the boot's held on it by a freaking zip tie. Now this is a budget brand, but still, so I guess they thought it was good enough, so so why not? I'll tell you what, the thing is a tight fit. The hole there is smaller than the rod, so you got to stretch it anyways to get it over. So that's a pretty tight, nice sealed fit there. Honestly, you'd probably be okay just putting a little grease over the end. So I think I'll do that, and then, like I said, put one of those big black zip ties on it and call her good, and something similar up on the back side there. All right, here we are next day, and I'm already about an hour into it, just getting that freaking boot on and having to cut the control arm or sway bar link here, the little ball socket that was left. The boot was a freaking nightmare. You can see that little hole there. It probably looks bigger than it is. To get my hand up in there, it was a nightmare to get that over. It seemed like more of a two-person job, like maybe somebody up here could get the top half over, and then from the bottom I could get the bottom half over. I had to use all kinds of different screwdrivers and hooks, and I greased it too to finally get it over the steering rack in there. Got a zip tie on it. I can't wait for the next side. That next side has, I can't even get my hand up in there through the bottom, so that's going to be an absolute nightmare. So that'll be super fun. And then yeah, where that link was busted off, I had to cut it off there because it was, I got it turning, but there was no way to hold the ball on the other side still to get this nut off, and it's so seized on there it probably would have broke off anyways. Well, I guess I could have used an Allen wrench there, but anyways, I cut that off. So that took me about an hour. Should be smooth sailing from here, at least to finish this side. I already had the new control arm on there, but like a dummy I was like, oh yeah, I got to get that joint off first. So it is a little bit of tight fit in there, but I got it up in there and halfway bolted down before I took it back off to address that. There's a sway bar link just hand started there. There's the control arm. So now I just got to put my spindle back on, slide the axle through, caliper and rotor, throw the wheel back on, and then this side's done. All right, there's the spindle and control arm hooked back up there. So I just got to reattach my tie rod there and throw the brakes back on. Oh, and of course my axle nut there. You know what else is cool is I'm trying to hook all this back up, and the bolts are smashing into the body of the strut there because the brackets are too close, so I'm gonna have to bend those brackets out. The other cool thing is when the car turns to the right, my line here is impacting with the sway bar link, so not only I got to bend this out so the bolt will actually go all the way in, but I got to hammer it forward too so it won't impact this sway bar link there. So yeah, this is why you always double check everything. Well, there's that. Got my cotter pins back in, everything's torqued down, calipers back on. I got to throw these fairings back up in here and put my wheel on, but other than that we're done. Got this bolted on, and I forgot I broke that bolt, one of these, taking it off. It was so seized it just snapped in half, so I found a replacement bolt in my junk bolt drawer there, so we got that all bolted up. But yeah, she's done. I just got to throw those fairings up there and get my wheel back on. And that axle's really gooping out just putting it back on there. It was pooping out a bunch more grease, so I'm gonna have to get to that pretty soon after I'm done doing all this crap. Like I said, it'd be a lot easier the second time around to drop all this to pull that axle out because it's all fresh, so it'd only take me like 10-15 minutes probably to break all this back down again and get that axle out. Well, there she is. I just got the one side done so far, but I wanted to take it down the road before I tackled the other side. You know, make sure everything was correct, and she went down the road right. No weird sounds or anything, and my God, just having that one corner out of 4 done made a massive difference. It's like a completely new car, so I can't wait to get the other 3 corners done. This thing's gonna handle great now, like a new car, like I've been wanting. It doesn't skate all over the road like it did and clunk and rattle and all that, and my vibration in the steering wheel is reduced to about half of what it was. So I'm sure once I get that other side done too, like I said, the tie rod on the other side has play in it too. I'm sure that'll eliminate that completely, because I've been suspecting that's what the issue was the entire time anyways, because brand new wheels and tires, and I still got shimmy and shake in the front end. So that's about the only thing you got left is your joints and your bushings and all that.